This is Sadlier Level D, Unit 8B. Our first word for this unit is assurance, which is a noun. Please be careful with this one. It is not a verb. It is not an action. It is not a thing you do. It is an actual thing. So it's a noun. It's a pledge, freedom from doubt, or self-confidence. Your synonyms are promise, sureness, poise, and self-possession. Your antonyms are uncertainty, doubt, and insecurity. And there are no other forms, although it is related to the verb form assured or assure. You can assure someone of something. Our picture, they're giving a nice thumbs up because they are giving assurance. And then my sentence, I didn't believe that all of my students would complete all of their homework for the entire week, but they gave me assurance that the work would be done, and I'm going to hope for the best. So notice I used it as a thing. They gave me something. What they gave me was assurance. It was a pledge. It was freedom from my own doubt that they wouldn't do their work. So please be careful you're not using this word as an action in your own sentence. If you need a sentence starter, you could do something like so-and-so gave me assurance that, and then tell me what someone promised to you or pledged to you or kind of guaranteed to you that they were going to do or that they were going to say or participate in, whatever the case may be. But don't use the word assurance as an action. It is a thing. Our next word is dilate, which is a verb. And it means to make or become larger or wider or to expand upon. Your synonyms are enlarge, expand, and prolong. Your antonyms are compress and constrict. Because it's a verb, we have our other verb forms of the word, dilated, dilating, and dilates. Different past tense, future tense, present tense. Dilatable is an adjective form. You would use that to describe something that can be dilated, like a pupil. Dilator is the noun form, the thing that causes something to dilate. In that picture, you can see that as a dilated pupil, it's nice and big and wide, and my sentence is about the same idea, just in a cat instead of a person. When my cat sees something moving in the corner of the room, his eyes dilate in order to see as much as possible. And he looks like Puss in Boots with his huge pupils. If you've ever seen whatever Shrek movie that is, it's the cat with the big pupils. Our next word is dross. I love this word. Dross is a noun, and it means refuse or waste products. In terms of synonyms that might help you, trash. It's just another fancy word for trash. Detritus, dregs, and scum are just more words for sort of things that are left behind that are kind of gross and need to be cleaned up and taken away. There are no antonyms of this word, and the only other form is the adjective form, drossy. So you could describe something that is sort of like trash or waste as being drossy. That picture is a kind of drossy area outside where there's trash that hasn't been cleaned up. And my sentence, I can't believe how much dross is left in my classroom by the end of the day because my students don't clean up after themselves and leave wrappers, scraps of paper, and water bottles all over the floor. That is a true story. It's getting annoying. Clean up after yourself. I am not your maid. Our next word is immunity. And I'm going to assume that a lot of you probably are familiar with this word already. But again, it is a noun. It is a thing. So make sure you're using the word correctly in your sentence as something. Immunity is a thing. It means resistance to disease or freedom from some charge or obligation. Your synonyms are exemption. Your antonyms are vulnerability and exposure. The plural noun form, notice it has the IES ending, because our word ends with a consonant and then a Y, a TY. So immunities, IES, plural noun form. And my sentence, I get my flu shot and other vaccinations each year to try and build up my immunity to disease and avoid getting sick. I've got some good context in that sentence. You could also use immunity with that freedom from some charge or obligation. I know that in certain reality TV shows that have an elimination factor to them, someone can get immunity, which means they can't be sent home. I don't really watch any of them, so I don't know how that works. The bad reality shows I watch don't have that. But it means that you are free from worrying about whatever that charge is, and you get to stay. Our next word is institute, which can be both a verb and a noun. As a verb, it means to establish something or to set up something. You can institute a policy, a course, a rule, or a law. As the noun form, it's an organization that promotes learning. So an institute is sort of like a school or a college. Your synonyms for the noun form is academy. For the verb form, it's to found or bring about. Found meaning you started something, not that you found it by looking for it. Your antonyms are only for the verb form. It's terminate, discontinue, demolish, and raze, meaning to like completely eliminate something. Your other forms, institutes is the plural noun form. Just pop a little S on the end of that word. And then for the verb form, you have your other verb forms of the word, instituted, instituting, and institutes. Our picture is from the noun form, an organization that promotes learning. That is actually the college that I went to. It's a picture outside of the library. So McDaniel College is an institute. My sentence is the verb form. So you can see how it's used as an action. In order to avoid unnecessary distractions during class, I instituted a no phones policy during lectures to ensure students keep them away while I'm teaching. So if you need something to write your sentence about, you could write a sentence that says, I instituted a rule where, and then give me what the rule is, give me some context to let me know that by instituting it, it means that you put it into place, you establish that rule. So come up with something if you want to use that. Our next word is preposterous. This is such a fun word. It is an adjective that means ridiculous or senseless. Our synonyms, nonsensical, meaning it doesn't make sense, absurd or incredible. Incredible meaning hard to believe, not incredible meaning like that's super great. Your antonyms are sensible, reasonable, realistic, and plausible. Plausible meaning is something that could actually happen. Your other forms are the traditional adverb and noun forms. So preposterously with the ly is our adverb, and preposterous can also be a noun. Our picture, I really like this picture. It's a one-size-fits-all hat, but it is an absolutely preposterous concept because their one-size-fits-all means that it goes over the person's entire body. If you look carefully, you can see their little feet coming out the bottom of these giant oversized hats. So what a preposterous hat that is. And then our sentence. Some people think it's a preposterous idea to let a cat be the president of the United States, but as a crazy cat lady, I think it's an amazing idea. I fully support Cat POTUS. Gets my vote. Our next word is rabid, which is an adjective that means furious, violently intense, unreasonably extreme, mad, or it can mean infected with rabies. So like a rabid animal could be an animal that has rabies, which is a disease. Your synonyms are zealous, raving, infuriated, and berserk. Your antonyms are moderate, blasé, looks like blaze, but it's blasé, and indifferent. You have rabidity as a noun, rabidly as a common adverb form, and then rabidness as a noun form. Our picture is a coach of an NFL team. You might recognize him. If you know, you know. He tended to be a bit rabid during games. He's a little intense, a little bit extreme, kind of crazy. And then in our sentence, some of Taylor Swift's more rabid fans, so fans that are unreasonably extreme, very intense, have camped out in front of her apartment for days, broken into her home, and dug through her trash to find things belonging to the singer. I am not that level of Taylor Swift fan. I just listen to her music. Then we have the word remunerate, which is a verb. This one's kind of odd. So it means to reward, pay, or reimburse. Your synonyms are satisfy, profit, and benefit. There are no antonyms for the word. Your other forms are your other verb forms, remunerated, remunerating, and remunerates. A person doing that repayment or reimbursing someone is a remunerator. And then your adjective form, remuneratory, which I don't ever hear that word, but it is one other form. So for our sentence, I've given you a lot of context to help with the meaning of the word. I worked really hard on this project and I expected to be properly and fairly remunerated with an appropriate salary for the hours I spent completing it. So I would like to be paid, reimbursed, rewarded, profit from the work that I did. I want to be remunerated. Maybe if you babysat for somebody and you expected to be remunerated at the end, you expected to be paid. You didn't do it for free. Then we have the word sparse, which is an adjective. It means meager, scant, or scattered. Basically, if something is sparse, it means there's not a lot of whatever it is that you can see. Your synonyms are thin, scanty, few and far between. Your antonyms are plentiful, abundant, profuse, and teeming, meaning you have a lot of something. You have your other superlative adjective forms. So you have sparse, sparser, and sparsest, the thing that is the most sparse. Sparsely is a really common adverb form, and sparseness is a noun form. And then in that picture, they've given you a little sentence that goes along with it. We certainly can call this head with sparse hair. It's meager, it's scant, it's kind of thin a little bit. There's not a lot of coverage there. And then my sentence is about something not so visual. It's usually easy to spot which students don't complete the reading because their essays are either clearly plagiarized or are sparse and lacking real details or analysis. So there's not a lot going on there. And then finally, our last word for this unit is venture, which can be both a noun and a verb. And I wrote 2 sentences to show you how each form of this word can be used. As a noun, a venture is a thing. It's a risky or daring undertaking. The verb form of venture means to expose to danger or to dare. Your synonyms for the noun form is gamble, for the verb form, try, chance, and undertake. Your antonyms are only for the verb form withdraw, retire, shrink from, or shy away. You have your other verb forms, venturing, ventured, and ventures. And then the person doing the venturing could be a venturer. It should remind you of the word adventure, which is when you go on some crazy thing, the adventure that you're going on, you can venture out to go on an adventure. So in our sentences, the first one is the verb form. Be careful venturing out into the wilderness and make sure you have all of your supplies before you start your adventure. And then the noun form, I'm going to use venture as a thing. It was a daring venture, so a thing, a daring venture to go on a 3-month backpacking trip through Europe alone, but she did it anyway. For your sentence, you can choose to do the noun form or the verb form. You do not have to do both. Just make sure you're using it correctly. And that is Sadlier Level D, Unit 8B vocab.